Hello friends and enemies, welcome to Weird Deck Techs. I am Toxy, your deck tech dude, and let's get into it. Weird Deck Techs is a new series that I wanted to do to exemplify some Yu-Gi-Oh decks that are generally unheard of or just unused, and there are a couple of them here, and I wanted to start the series off with one that I have been thinking about since 2007, the alien archetype. That being said, this video is going to be a little bit different because I do not have the physical cards for this archetype, and I probably won't for most of these archetypes. Aliens, for those who don't know, were an archetype that were introduced around the GX era. They were never shown in the GX anime or manga, but they were in the card packs around that time. The aliens' big gimmick was that they utilized A counters that they would attach to your opponent's monsters to weaken them down a little bit. Interesting archetype gimmick in my opinion, but it was just never utilized as far as I know. I have never seen anybody talk about aliens. I've never seen anybody use them. In doing some research for this video, I found that people do make alien deck lists, apparently, but I've never seen or heard of anybody using aliens. That being said, with that little bit of backstory out of the way, let's go ahead and take a look at the deck and see if we can break it down and see if we can see how this deck would do. Alright, and we are getting into the deck portion of the video. So here's the alien deck, and I just want to go over a couple rules before we actually look at it. So first things first, first rule I'm setting for myself for these sections is I have to try and stay as close as possible to 40 cards. Just a slick 40 if I can. I'm going to try not to go over that ever. And some archetypes it might be hard, some archetypes have more cards than others, but if I can do it, I will. Second thing is I'm going to be going pure archetype here, and I'm going to be judging the archetype based on its pure form. That means no extra cards from the outside, no hand traps, no, staple spell and traps, no staple monsters, nothing like that. That being said, let's go ahead and jump right into it. This is Aliens, and let's take a look at the deck down here. This is the deck. This is actually my third iteration of this deck. It was really weird to look at. It was my first time actually looking through these cards and trying to build them, so I kept trying to figure out the best way to play them. This is what I settled on, and I'll explain why at the end. First, we're going to go through all of the cards individually, and then we'll talk a little bit about the deck, and then we'll move on. So here we go. Starting at the top, we have Alien Mother. All aliens are reptiles. She specifically is a level 6, and I have 2 of her, and I think she's the only higher level main deck monster. So let's get into it. If this card destroys a monster with an A counter by battle and sends it to the graveyard, special summon the destroyed monster to your side of the field at the end of the battle phase. When this card is removed from the field, all monsters that were special summoned by this card's effect are destroyed. Moving on, we've got Alien Stealth Buster, a level 4. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target one face-up monster on the field, place 2 A counters on it during your main phase, except the turn this card was sent to the graveyard. You can banish this card from your graveyard, target one card with an A counter, and destroy it. You can only use each of those effects once per turn. I've got 2 of them in there, and moving on to my next 2 is Alien Warrior. He's a level 4 1800 attack. When this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, place 2 A counters on the monster that destroyed it. Now, we've got a little bit of reminder text as to what an A counter does here, so I'm going to read it, and this is the only time I'm going to read the reminder text, but this is what A counters do statically. If a monster with an A counter battles an alien monster, it loses 300 attack and defense for each A counter on it during damage calculation only. So it's just a standard, strict debuff that's constant. Next up, we got Alien Telepath. Once per turn, you can remove 1 A counter from an opponent's monster to destroy 1 spell or trap card. So we've got our 2 removal monsters here. We've got a couple more removal spells down in the spell and trap zone. And then we've got 1 more removal card in our extra deck. Next up, we got Alien Hunter, level 4. If this card destroys a monster with an A counter by battle, it can attack once again in a row. And we've got 2 of those. Just some, heavy beaters. We've got 3 alien dogs. It's a level 3. When you normal summon an alien monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. When you do, place 2 A counters on face-up monsters your opponent controls. Next up, we got 2 alien Mars, and it just stops effects. The effects of effect monsters with A counters are negated except for alien Mars. Pretty simple. Next up, we got 3 alien Greys. It's got a flip effect. Place 1 A counter on 1 face-up monster on your opponent's side of the field. After this card has been flipped face-up, when it is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, draw a card. So it's a give out an A counter, draw a card when it dies. Alien Ammonite. We've got 3 of these, and when this card is normal summoned, you can special summon 1 level 4 or lower alien monster from your graveyard and destroy it during the end phase. Last for the monsters, we've got Alien Hypno. We've got 3 of them. This card is treated as a normal monster while face up on the field or in the graveyard. While this card is face up on the field, you can normal summon it to have it be treated as an effect monster with the following effect. During your main phase, you can select 1 monster your opponent controls with an A counter and take control of it while this card is on the field. During each of your end phases, remove an A counter from each controlled monster, and if all A counters are removed from one of these monsters, destroy it. Next up, we're entering the spell and trap zone, so we've got start with a trap, Alien Brain, a normal trap. When a reptile type monster you control is destroyed by battle with an opponent's attacking monster and sent to the graveyard, take control of the opponent's monster, and if you do, it becomes reptile. Really good just steal card there, and it helps you out with your extra deck later on. We've got 2 continuous A-cell breeding devices. It's a continuous spell. During each of your standby phases, put 1 A counter on 1 face-up monster your opponent controls. Pump out those A counters as fast as possible. Another continuous spell, Code A Ancient Ruins. Each time a face-up alien monster is destroyed, place 1 A counter on this card. Once per turn, you can remove 2 A counters from anywhere on the field to special summon 1 alien monster from your graveyard. Next up, we've got 3 A-cell recombination devices. They are a quick play spell. Target 1 face-up monster on the field, send 1 alien monster from your deck to the graveyard, and if you do, place A counters on the selected monster equal to the level of the alien monster. During your main phase, except the turn this card was sent to the graveyard, you can banish this card from your graveyard to add an alien monster from your deck to your hand. Just a fetch spell, essentially. You get rid of a card, put some A counters out, and then you fetch. Mysterious Triangle is a quick play spell. We've got 2 of them. Destroy 1 monster on the field with an A counter, then you can special summon 1 level 4 alien monster from your deck and destroy it during the end phase. Next up, we've got Continuous Trap Mass Hypnosis. We've got 2 of them. Activate only while you control an alien monster. Select and take control of up to 3 of your opponent's monsters that each have an A counter on them. This card is destroyed during the end phase of the turn that's activated. Next up, we've got 2 normal traps, Cell Explosion Virus. Activate only when an opponent's monster with an A counter declares an attack. Destroy all attack position monsters your opponent controls, so it's just Mirror Force with extra steps. And lastly, for the main deck, we've got Planet Pollutant Virus, a normal type. We've got 2 of them. Tribute 1 alien monster, destroy all face-up monsters without A counters your opponents control until the end phase of your opponent's 3rd turn after this card's activation. Place 1 A counter on each monster they summon. That's it for the main deck. Moving on to the extra deck, we've got 3 monsters here. First up, we've got a Link 2 monster. Alien Shock Trooper M-Frame. It requires 2 reptile monsters, so, Alien Brain helps with that, like I said. Quick effect, you can discard 1 monster, place A counters equal to its original level on face-up monsters on the field, distributed as you wish. If this card is destroyed by battle or card effect and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon non-Link reptile monsters with different names from your graveyard, up to the number of monsters your opponent controls with A counters. You can only use each of those effects once per turn. Next up, we got Cosmic Fortress Golgar, a level 5 Synchro. We've got 3 of them. He requires an Alien Ammonite and 1 or more non-tuner alien monsters to be played. Once per turn, you can select any number of face-up spell or trap cards. return those cards to their owner's hands, and distribute new A counters among monsters on the field equal to the number of cards returned. Once per turn, you can remove 2 A counters from anywhere on the field, destroy 1 card your opponent controls. Simple removal, like I said before. Last up for the extra deck, we got Cosmic Slicer Z-Roll, a newer Link monster that was released recently at the end of last year. He is a Link 3, requires 2 or more reptile monsters to be summoned. Monsters your opponents control with A counters are changed to defense position, and neither player can activate their effects. Then you can only use each of the following effects once per turn. If this card is Link summoned, you can add 1 card from your deck to your hand that has an effect that places A counters, so fun fetch spell. Then you can remove 2 A counters from anywhere on the field. Immediately after this effect resolves, normal summon 1 reptile monster. So that's the alien deck that I have built, and I want to talk about it a little bit. This is, being honest, this is the first time that I've actually looked through all the alien cards, looked through all the A counter cards, and actually tried to make them into a deck. And I can kind of confidently say that while they look amazing on paper, they're a little more underwhelming. It seems, at least based on what I can see here, they seem like they would just be underwhelming to play. You're playing like maybe 1 to 3 aliens per turn, and if you're lucky, you're getting an extra deck monster out there too. And it's just, I never want to call a deck bad. I don't think any decks are bad per se. I think a deck is as good as you want it to be. This is coming from a guy that likes to play weird archetype decks. So I don't think this deck is bad. I actually think it would be really fun to play. It's just slow. And the problem with modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Is that a lot of decks function very, very fast. They're getting out monsters over and over and over as fast as they possibly can, and just barraging you with their big boss monsters as fast as they can. So this deck, I wanted to go for a theme of stealing your opponent's monsters to try and mitigate that. And the problem with that is that if you want to steal your opponent's monsters, you have to do it fast. So I tried to make this deck pure archetype as fast as possible. I'm sure you can make this deck much better if you just add in other stuff, but pure archetype, I don't know. I kind of want to play it because I kind of want to see if I can make Steel Shenanigans work, but I understand why I've almost never seen or heard of anybody playing this. I think I've heard of 2 people ever trying to play this and they just didn't like it, and I've never ever seen anyone play it. But yeah, that's the deck, that's aliens, that's the deck tech, and it's just a deck that nobody plays. That being said, back to me. And with that, we have closed the book on our first weird deck tech. Thank you so much for watching. I've really wanted to talk about these archetypes for a while. Yu-Gi-Oh! Has some really weird archetypes that Konami just kind of tossed in there that nobody uses or talks about almost ever. And I wanted to just look over some of them. And fair warning, some of the deck techs in the series may not be, archetypes that aren't heard of, but they are archetypes that aren't really used. And I want to go over reasons for that, and possible reasons for that, I should say. Anyway, we're going to close this video out. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. And until next time, drink your water.